Hey, it's Citrus. Now I'm going to show something that I'm rather proud of. This is a merging array. I'm so proud of this merging array because it is very set and forget. You input partial boxes into it, and you receive empty boxes and full boxes. I've got a world download for this in HiveTech, which I'll link in the description, but I figure it's very important to go through how this thing works. It's a complex enough machine that you can't know how to debug it on your own. So here I've split it up into the 4 components: the temp, the fill level prioritization, and the fill level sorting. There's also the merger slice. I'm going to go over any of that. I figure I should go over how a merging array works in general. Now this is a non-encoded merging array, so I need a special set of logic. It starts with the input buffer. You get partial boxes in from here. You would receive these from usually either a splitter or from an unloading array. It sends a single box at a time over to the box grouper. Now the box grouper takes all of the boxes inside of a temporary storage and compares them to the item type inside of this single box. So this single box has to have a single item type, and all the boxes inside the temp storage all have a single item type. And if it makes a match, so there are two boxes with the same item type, it will send them to the merging array. If there's no match, then it will send it back to the temp storage. Before it goes straight into the merging slices, it prioritizes the fill level of the boxes so that the smaller fill level box is always unloaded into the larger fill level box. That's nothing but a time save, but sometimes it's a very large time save. Unloading a full box takes just over 11 minutes, which is a very long time to wait. From the merging array, there are 3 possibilities. There are partial boxes, full boxes, and empty boxes that come out of the merging array. We want to do different things with all of those options, so we send the partial boxes back to the input buffer so they can be put back into the box grouper to see if there are any new matches in the temp storage, or put it into the temp storage if there isn't. Then we take the full boxes and we send those to the bulk storage. There's a lot of ways to do this, but usually these are just box sorters. And we take the empty boxes and we output them to the empty box storage in your storage. Now that you know the flowchart, I can show you how I implemented it into Minecraft. I'll start with the box grouper and temp because it's the most complicated part. The input buffer here has dynamic hopper locking, so when I input a box, it will unlock the input buffer. Now the input buffer is attached to the permission circuit, and the permission circuit only lets the temp begin working once it's met a few conditions. One of those conditions is that there are items in the input buffer, so it won't start without a box in the input buffer. And the other is that there's at least one merger slice that's available. And I can show how I implemented this here. This is an AND gate attached to the is running flag for each of these individual slices. So if all of them are running, then it will activate this line and it goes up and around here and turns this off. This just pauses the temp until at least one merger slice is open. So if I simulate that, I can throw a box in. You can see it unlock. The box makes its way down to this dropper. And when I give it permission, it'll get sent down here. Now we'll place this box to set the filter. You see there's wheat seeds in here now, and the box is down here. Then it starts sending all the boxes from the temp storage. And it places and breaks them over top this filter until it runs out of boxes. Now there wasn't a match there, so you could see that the boxes all went back up around here. But they didn't go straight back into this buffer. Because of the way that this works, I can't just send them back straight into the original input buffer without waiting a long time in between. So I toggle between two different temp storages. And this speeds things up rather dramatically. So now our box of wheat seeds is inside the temp storage, along with all of these other boxes, none of which contain wheat seeds. So now, if I throw in another box of wheat seeds, of course, it'll do the same thing. Set the variable filter, start sending the boxes from the other temp, place and break those over top the filter. When it finds a match, there we go. See, it unlocked this hopper, and now they were, instead of going up and around into the temp, they sent it out and around here to this is where the fill level prioritization would be. I'll show that one more time, just for clarity. And I'll shut up so it will make sense. And there we go, a successful group again. Okay, on to the fill level prioritization. This received boxes from the grouper and will reorder the fill level if needed. So I need to make sure that the lower fill level box always gets put on the right here, and the higher fill level box gets put on the left. So what it does for that, I'll go into spectator, since this is pretty compact, is it grabs one box in one dispenser, the box and the other box in this dispenser, and it will place both. Then comparators read from them, and if this comparator turns on, it means that this box is larger in fill level than this box. And now remember, we don't want that. We want the smaller fill level box to be on the right. So what it has to do is it has to switch their locations. So it will break both of the boxes, and if this box is larger, then what will happen is the box will go into this dropper, get dispensed, and go out around here back into this hopper, which is the line for the red, so higher fill level box. And if this box is smaller, then it will just go straight down and into the green line. If the right box here is larger, then I also need to move the other box back into the green spot. So it will move into this dropper, get placed down here, and run around into the red. That's simple enough. I will show it working. Got two text boxes. This one has only a stack of beacons, and this one has 7 stacks of beacons. Their colors are matching, which line they should end up on. To start with, I'll throw the red box first, which means it will have to switch. And then the green box places both, reads them, breaks it. You see the red box goes around. And there we go. Now if I start with the green box, places both boxes. It doesn't have to switch this time. And there we go. So in both cases, we get the green box on the right side, which is the lower fill level, and the red box on the left side, which is the higher fill level. Level sorter, it looks a little goofy because I had to cram it in between the other components, but it's actually not that complicated. So it sorts the boxes between their 3 different possibilities coming out of the merger. Remember, that's full, which I have here as red, partial, which I have here as orange, and empty, which I have here as green. Now I have 2 of each because there is a single buffer down here, which is currently containing a partial box. If I throw in both of my empty boxes, they're both going to end up here because they're not affected by the buffer. If I throw in my 2 partial boxes, they both get outputted to orange. If I throw in my 2 full boxes, one of them is going to be orange because of the buffer. But the full box gets placed out here, and the partial box goes out with the others. I also have a barrel that contains a mix of all the possibilities, so you can watch it work. And there we go. The sorting operation is done. All the boxes here are red. Boxes here are orange. And all the boxes here are green. The last component I'm going to go over is the merging slice. Now this is a merging slice that I adapted from Daniel C, where I removed about half the observers and made it a block shorter. Now the block shorter doesn't actually count here because I made it a block taller so that this could have no delay. To show it working, I'll employ my 2 red and green test boxes again. Now the input is these 2 dropper lines. So I will put these boxes into the respective droppers. The green one goes on the right, and the red one on the left. Now I put the red one in second because that's what tells it to start. I'll place the green box and drop the red one down and place it here. The items start flowing in down into this hopper from the green box. And when the green box empties, it's going to break both boxes. Now the green box gets placed here, but that's not really a problem as it will be broken when the next merging operation happens. I can show you it working. I'd like to go over some common breakpoints if you run into issues. So if your machine isn't running, make sure that all the dispensers that should be filled with water buckets or powdered snow buckets are filled with their water buckets or powdered snow buckets. You will mostly notice this as a problem if entire parts of the machine are failing to fire. But there's other parts that also have pre-fill, like these dropper latches. Each dropper latch here needs to have 1 item into it. An unstackable or a stackable item is perfectly fine. Same thing with the latches in each of the droppers. By the end of an operation, the items in each of these latches should be at the top part of the latch. Make sure you look through the temp after something like an unload has happened while it's running. Make sure that the temp contains only boxes of a single item. And also make sure this purple box is in here at all times. Now this is a very important box. It means that if your temp contains no boxes with items, it will still run. Because it runs on falling edge logic, it needs at least 1 box to continue with the operation. So this will never receive a match because it has no items, but it must stay in the temp. Another issue that could happen if the merger is unloaded while it's running is this could be in the wrong state. Now this can be on or off depending on where it is in the operation, but the comparators here, and I gotta go in the spectator for this one, While the clock is running, they should be the same as where the items are, and the opposite as where the items will go to. While the clock is not running, they should be the opposite as where the items are, and the same as where the items will go to. Next thing to make sure of is that the filter has the correct amount of prefill. It needs 1D1 total items here. That's 3 in the back slots and 18 in the second slot. Next, make sure there are no boxes in this dispenser and no items in this hopper. Make sure that there is only a single buffer in this hopper and none in the hoppers above it. And ensure that all of these hoppers and droppers are empty. Otherwise, you get multiple boxes receiving the same item type, which could cause a lot of issues. These hoppers and dispensers should also be empty while it's not running. Also, while it's not running, this torch, along with all of these torches, should all be on, which means none of the merger slices are active. If any of the merger slices are active while they shouldn't be, you can go down here, break, and place back a scaffolding. Make sure you've removed any boxes that shouldn't be there and any items and hoppers that shouldn't be in hoppers. If you have any more complex issues that can't be solved with what I just went over, you can DM me or ping me in HiveTech. I'm going to show it working with all its components in tandem using some test boxes that I made by putting a few boxes from the Hermitcraft item set into Firebeast Splitter. To simulate input from a splitting array, I also have the timings randomized so that there's a 50% chance every 12 game ticks for a box to be sent in. Now, the input can be anywhere, but I would prefer that it is inputted into the fill level sorter to cover some edge cases where a box that is empty is placed inside or a box that is full is placed inside. We'll start up the clock, let it do its thing, and I'll commentate over the first few boxes it works with. And then after that, I will just let it run for a few minutes and you can watch it work. There's the fill level sorter working. All of these boxes are going to be partial boxes, so they get placed into the input buffer. Grouper operation. Look like there's going to be a match this time around. Place and break the box and it will go up around. You can also see it's switching temps. There we go. So now they're going to input into this one. There was a match. So we can see the boxes going up and around. Fill level prioritization. Slice activates. I'll turn off the clock here. I don't want it running for hours. But there another match was found. And it looks like our first slice finished this operation, so it'll just go straight to the first slice again. but the second slice is active as well. All right, and now I will just let it work. Thank you all for watching. The world download for this will be in HiveTech, which I will link in the description. If you have any problems, you can ping me in HiveTech or DM me. Either is fine.